Hi, I am Nairouz Bader, and on behalf of Envision Partnership, I would like to welcome you all to our Envision Business Talk. A friendly reminder to post your questions in the comment box in our social media platform. It is a great pleasure to be with you today to discuss such a vital topic: digital transformation, the inevitable risky journey. The novel virus COVID 19 has pushed companies over the technology tipping point and reshaped how businesses will be functioning from now on. The pandemic lately aggravated our need for digital transformation. Consumers and businesses are adopting digital technology at a rapid rate. And while this is generating new opportunities, it is also creating new risks. Thus, digital transformation is an inevitable risky journey that all leaders must tackle in order to face the post pandemic new era. However, according to Harvard Business Review, 70% of digitization and digital transformation initiatives have failed to achieve their objectives. Today, we will discuss why organizations fail to smoothly navigate the digitization topic. In this talk, we are connecting the business community with experts and leaders who will share with us their digital transformation journey and insights. It is a great honor for me to introduce tonight's eminent guests, Ms. Ozlem Fidanci, Global Head of Market Domestic Appliances and Senior Vice President at Philips. Welcome, Ozlem. Mr. Elias, Head of Strategic Growth Business at Mastercard and the President of the UAE INSEAD Alumni Association. Pleasure to have you, Elias. And Adnan Dekedek, Program Coordinator at StartAD NYU Abu Dhabi, and the co-founder and CFO at Plexo Gaming, the most exciting title, Adnan. We're very happy to have you all with us. I would like to start with the minority female here with us. So, Ozlem, if you don't mind, can you give us a bit of an introduction about who are you as a person and your background so that the audience are very anxious to get to know you?
Thank you very much, Nairouz. I'm really excited to be part of this broadcast and with very nice colleagues and friends. My name is Ozlem Fidanci. I have been in Philips in the last 23 years, but my professional life spans beyond 30 years. I have been living in different countries. I'm Turkish originally, but lived in Singapore, Dubai, and lately in Netherlands. I have been always in markets with diverse teams from different backgrounds. And one of the key, let's say, daring behavior I always had in my career, throughout my career, was to go out of my comfort zone. And you can imagine being in professional business life for 30 years. I'm not a digitally native person at all, but that is something I'm putting myself out of my comfort zone, even joining this conversation with the experts and sharing my thoughts about maybe the challenge leadership is facing today to make the transformation in the right way. So I'm really, really pleased to have this conversation with you. Thank you very much.
Lovely to have you with us. Adnan, would you like to go next?
Sure. Thank you, Nairouz, for this wonderful opportunity. I'm exceptionally excited for this topic and for this panel because it's actually my first. I'm Adnan. I graduated from New York University in Abu Dhabi as part of the class of 2020, a historic class to say the least, because we were the first to graduate online and receive our diplomas fully virtually. I continued my journey with New York University in Abu Dhabi, and I joined StartAD as the program coordinator. StartAD is a global accelerator/incubator that is powered by Tamkeen and is based in NYU Abu Dhabi, and we work a lot with startups. We have a local SME focus as well as a university focus, and then we also work with global tech startups, and we bring them into the UAE. I'm the co-founder of Plexo Gaming. It's an esports startup that is based in Abu Dhabi. We have an online platform for tournaments, as well as our own esports team that we would like to compete on the global stage. I'm a gaming enthusiast myself. I enjoy the esports scene a lot. And again, very, very happy to be here.
Wonderful to have you. Elias, would you please give us a bit of a background about who you are?
With pleasure. Thank you, Nairouz. Hi, everyone. Great to be here. Very exciting topic, as you mentioned, Nairouz. Very timely as well. My background is computer engineering. That's what I studied. Then spent my career doing a mix of strategy and management consulting, as well as working in the entrepreneurial space, having launched tech startup Rocket Internet and other startups outside the tech space. I've received my MBA from INSEAD, given that I'm heading the association, and most recently, over the past 4 years, I've been building and leading one of our business units called Strategic Growth at Mastercard, that is focused on developing the digital payments economy, working to digitize flows of cash, creating seamless experiences for citizens, businesses, and governments. I'm also heavily embedded in the startup scene as a mentor, also as an angel investor, and as an investment committee member on the Saudi Angel Investors. And it stems from the fact that I'm a major and strong believer in the need to disrupt and digitize the future and build the businesses of the future. And in order to do that, we have to support as much as we can and wherever we can the brilliant entrepreneurs that we have in the region, especially here in UAE, and to provide them with the financial investments as well as the mentoring across the board. And I'm sure Adnan is heavily embedded in there. So this is in a nutshell. I lived and worked in 17 countries spanning emerging markets in Europe, from South Africa till Singapore across, and also in Europe, in France and London. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm so happy to be here and can't wait to kick off the discussion with Ozlem and Adnan and yourself. So thank you for having me.
Pleasure. So in a nutshell, knowing you will make us rich.
Well, or poor, depending how you manage your finances.
So we'll use this for another talk. We're really delighted with this multi-generational, multi-background, different aspects of diversity, and the combination that we have here today is really remarkable. I have to say, I'm a bit overwhelmed myself. I mean, the organization that you represent, it's massive. Speaking about Philips, NYU, INSEAD, or you as individuals. So we're really super excited to have you, and I'm very humbled to have this opportunity with you. Ozlem, speaking about digital transformation and how it has peaked more than ever nowadays. It is the integration of digital technology into all areas of business, fundamentally changing how you operate and deliver value to customers and clients. It's also a cultural change that requires organization to continually challenge the status quo. So how can we incorporate digital transformation as part of the organizational change? And what do you think are the new traits needed for senior leaders to lead this transformation?
Thank you very much, Nairouz, for the question. Actually, digital transformation itself means a fundamental change in any given organization, because it integrates digital technology into all areas of business and alters the processes and way of working, as well as how you create value and deliver to the customers. And therefore, it demands cultural change indeed, and of course requires the organizations who are going through the change to challenge the status quo, create learning culture, and experiment new things. Sometimes also get comfortable with the failure, because it's important. You test and learn and be agile. It is not always a known destination where you are heading to. Mm-hmm. Of course, it means you need to let go of existing processes, some legacy systems, complex way of working, and this is to maximize the value for the customer. And I think what I observed in my own experience and what I heard from different organizations, this fight with transformation usually comes from not being able to let go of the legacy and old way of working. As long as you are protective to what you have and you are fearing not letting go, then there is a difficulty. So that is very important. Therefore, it starts with having a mindset of continuous improvement and what can get better for the customer and consumer, thanks to new technologies, thanks to digital technologies. And of course, this goes with the leadership behavior to be able to transform the organization while keeping the performance there as well, because performance is important for today, but transformation is important for tomorrow. So you need to change the whole organization. Sometimes you need to change the structure to get more agile and fit for the future. This is something not comfortable. I mean, as leaders also, I have been in many transformation initiatives. It is not a comfortable feeling, but I believe as senior leaders, you first need to create why you need to transform. And it needs to be clear to everybody. And in my view, it is not a very difficult thing to find the why, because mostly it is the same for many organizations. You need to continue to create value for the customer and deliver the value to the customer. And the way to deliver the value changes because the technology is changing, because now you have digital technologies. There you can take the waste out, there you can get more data in, analytics you can apply to the data you are getting and understand your customer, hence build superior propositions for the customer. So it is not I would say it is not a rocket science. And when you put the customer first mentality to drive the change, then it excites everybody. But if you just position transformation as cost efficiency or is just finding different ways, people will not like it. So you need to create the excitement by putting your customers as first, hence everybody runs after that. So that is, I think, is important. The other one is full ownership by the CEO or the leadership team, because it cannot be left only to IT, to technology team. Business and the commercial strategy and the IT requirements or technology requirements, they need to work hand in hand. Otherwise, it is very difficult to drive the change. And you need to have digitally savvy team in everywhere in the organization. The other point I like to make is change leadership. So you need to role model yourself. You need to be together with the team, listen to the team. How you can overcome the difficulties, etc. I believe the most important thing is really senior leaders to be open-minded and let go of the fear, replace it with the curiosity. I would say this is extremely important. So maybe I share all these. Maybe my colleagues Adnan and Elias have other views as well.
Thank you so much, Ozlem, and you're absolutely right. I was just going to say, for the gentlemen, what are the other ways to involve digital transformation as part of the organizational change? What other traits are needed, in your opinion, for senior leaders to lead this transformation?
So I can go next, and I 100% agree. Thank you, Elias. So I agree with you, Ozlem, and I think you raised very, very important points. And I think it's important for organizations to first do the hard work of fitting the change into the overall business strategy. And like you said, understand your customer, know how to increase the customer benefit, and put your customer first. And at the same time, understand the internal processes and how digital transformation can improve it. But I do have a perspective that is somewhat unconventional, but I do believe it can be very beneficial for large organizations. And it's for companies to internalize the startup culture when embarking on a digital transformation journey. Why do I say this? Well, startups are known for their agile decision-making, for their rapid prototyping and general horizontal structure. And we know that the process of digital transformation is inherently uncertain and very, very risky. changes need to be made tentatively, and you need to adjust them. Decisions need to be made very quickly, and groups from all over the organization will probably need to be involved. So traditional hierarchies and long decision making processes can really get in the way of your digital transformation journey. And then the need for agility and rapid prototyping in this example of change management is so important, because so many of the digital technologies that exist in the market are highly customizable, and picking the best solution will require probably extensive experimentation by your organization.
Thank you so much, Adnan. This is very insightful. Elias, if we want to talk about reinventing the internal operating models, that it is being a key in order to win in the digital world and to be able to capture the full value, what expectations should organizations have from external consultant to build their internal capability during these transformational changes?
So I think in very brief, one word is support. In many, I spent almost 8-9 years in consulting, Spanish management consulting, worked with many clients in the region and outside the region that had to go through digital transformation. And one of the key things that we used to help those clients and advise them on are 3 things. First, to Ozlem's point, to sharpen the why. Many of the organizations need to transform in order to remain relevant and in order to continue to create value for the organization and for the customers. So when you put the customer at the center, you need to understand what would this customer require tomorrow, right? This is the forward looking is very important. This forward looking is not always something that organizations, the C-suite within an organization always have the capacity to be able to come up with, given the day-to-day business as usual, quarter-to-quarter targets, reporting on the financials, closing the year end. This is very demanding, right? Every day we see it at Mastercard, the market is very dynamic, a lot of changes that are taking place. So what they need is the support to better understand what would the customer require tomorrow. Because if you're looking what the customer requires today, then you've missed the boat, right? Mm-hmm. And the expectations is that this consultant or the support that they're going to get, it can be a partner, it doesn't have to be consulting, right? At Mastercard, for instance, we act as trusted advisors. I work with a lot of central banks, ministries, private sector, in order to develop the digital payments of tomorrow. And in order to do that, you need to have the right expertise and thought leadership and forward-looking perspective to do that. So this is the most important for organizations that believe, I'm going to hire these consultants or bring this partner to come and build that for me, and we just buy it off the shelf. This is where money is wasted. This is where time is wasted. In many cases, creates friction within the organization, because change has to start from within, supported by external advisors and external support. So this is one perspective. Of course, we can dissect that and look at some of the partners / consultants that would come in with very niche expertise. For instance, one of the clients that we worked with during the consulting days, we launched something called the excubation. And this speaks to Adnan, to the point you were making earlier, to start to instill and institutionalize the startup culture within an organization, because the change has to come from within. And in order to do that, you need those change agents, which many organizations have, but in some cases they don't have them in the numbers that are required to, and I get one book that I love, and it's old now, but it's very relevant, Who Says Elephants Can Dance, right? By the CEO of IBM when he came in the early 90s to transform IBM. So you need a lot of those change agents to make that elephant dance, right? Mm-hmm. So some organizations or some consulting firms or tech players, they come in and they kind of inject this kind of energy and change culture in order to support that.
Yeah, maybe I like to add you to. Sorry.
No, Go ahead, please go ahead. Yes.
No, because I worked with many consultants throughout my career. Of course, when you hear from the consultant what you already know, and that is not that helpful, although it is much more systematic, structured, etc. I think the best thing any consultancy experts could do for the organization to mirror in such a way that it shows the obvious breakthrough for the organization based on its strengths and based on the unique opportunities the organization can craft from where they are. So some consultants are really capable to do that, and then you find your sweet spot, and that, I think, sweet spot, when you link it with why, then I think with a strong leadership you can drive really breakthrough strategies.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ozlem, for this insight. Adnan, anything you like to add, or shall I shoot?
You can go ahead. I agree with both of them, and I think both Elias and Ozlem provided great insights into external consultants.
Excellent. In order to implement digital transformation, Adnan, in a company, a clear vision and well-defined strategy need to be implemented. From your experience, even though it's a bit short, but still, how would you link the phenomena of digitization to the strategic framework of the organization?
Yeah, so for this one specifically, at StartAD, we worked on a program. It's a corporate sprint accelerator program that focuses on construction technology. And I think a great way to understand how the phenomenon of digitization is linked to strategic framework of organizations is to look at the construction industry and what happened within this industry. So for decades, as we know, the construction industry has been one of the least digitized sectors. But recently, and from my experience, I've seen that major big companies in the construction industry have been able to identify their major pain points. For example, most large capital projects take 20% longer to finish and are usually 80% over your budget, your initial budget. So the strategic goals in which organizations in the construction industry started to perform, they changed it to look at improving efficiency and improving sustainability, right? And then automatically the market created this influx of new technologies in the form of startups, like property technology, construction technology, building information modeling. These are all new technologies that emerged as a consequence of wanting to improve the construction industry. And so once this was accepted and the strategic change was accepted within this industry, we saw that big construction companies have adopted these technologies because they wanted to digitize. They wanted to embark on the digital transformation journey. And I'm a big fan of internal innovation departments, and most of our partners that work on programs with us have innovation departments, and they look to build the digital transformation through these departments. But I think it's important to understand that this can be a part of your organizational culture, to have it as a job within the larger organization for everyone to push digitization through.
How else can we link digitization to our businesses? The question to all of you. If anyone would like to answer this.
Yeah, maybe I can elaborate a little bit. So in the past, when we do strategy rounds, we used to look at cash generation, so value generation, right? So how we are going to continue to generate value, and for customer, but for the company, because you are profit-seeking organization, right? These days, if I look at, if this is enough, just looking at cash generation, probably not. Because then you can kill yourself if you are not careful, because you need to adopt the right data strategy. Data strategy, or having data creation and ability to read, analyze, come with insights, predictive analytics, etc. These are equally important with cash, and without these, you cannot generate cash anymore. So that is very, very obvious, became very obvious. And if I look at the strategic direction, for instance, where I am working, the biggest area that I'm spending my time on, how I'm going to create valuable propositions for my customers, how I'm going to do it in the most efficient way. And there I need data, because when I have more data than competitors, and when I am able to read the data in faster and in a much accurate way than the competitors, if I'm also able to convert this insight into actionable new propositions or new actions, new activities, then I can be the winner of the future. So therefore, I think data strategy needs to be in the center of the business strategy. How you are going to generate data, how you are going to read, and what applications, software, tools, systems, and what type of capabilities, and what type of processes therefore you need to be putting in place, and what type of organizational structure that you need to establish in the organization. So everything is also I think running around this data strategy, which I find very important.
Absolutely. I have promised from the beginning that this is going to be an interactive session, and thank you for making it truly interactive. We have a couple of questions from the audience, so I'm going to pause on my questions, and if you don't mind, we'd like to share the audience questions, and this is please open to all of you, whomever would like to answer. So what is acquired to have the right digital ecosystem in place to engage digitally from end to end? Who would like to answer that?
Sure, I'll take that because that's my day-to-day job. Digital ecosystems is like it's the bread and butter. Thanks, Gina, for the question. So this is really interesting because now I'm just gonna give you very quickly a glimpse of what I do day to day. Right, when you want to achieve a digitization, which is at an ecosystem level, you have three things that should come into play. The first one is the product itself, or what we call the access. Across the board, it depends. In Mastercard term, this is a digital financial product, whether it is your digital wallet or card on file, where you put your credit card on your app, etc. So you need to have this access. You have to have access to a digital product. The second is the infrastructure. You need to have the right infrastructure within the ecosystem. In the case of Mastercard, you need to have the digital acceptance where you can tap on the phone. You need to have the real-time payment, for instance, between or within an economy to allow immediate transfer of funds, etc. Many other infrastructure plays that are there. And third, the regulations and policies. All these three have to come together. Now, it's very simple to say these three, but these three, depending on the sector that you're engaged in, would entail different stakeholders. For policy and regulations, we work very closely with a central bank, for instance, ministries of finance, ministries of economies, etc. For the infrastructure, we work sometimes with the government, sometimes with the private sector, because the infrastructure starts from the layer 0 up to layer N. And for the access, this is where we work with our bank partners, with the fintechs, and with many other players within the economy. Now, if you take, for instance, Dubai, which is a great example or a great case study of how they digitized this ecosystem, they started by having very developed infrastructure, fast broadband, strong Wi-Fi, very strong e-services, government e-services. You can do everything you want now without having to leave your house, whether it is to pay a fine, to get your marriage certificate stamped, to buy a house. During COVID, people were buying houses without even leaving, right? This is a function of the infrastructure that was put out there with the access through the apps, platforms that Dubai government, for instance, engaged, and through the regulations and policy where it's okay to have e-signature, for example, or it's acceptable and approved and legalized to have e-signature instead of going to the notary yourself. We see it every day in payments. We see it every day in many other industries. And for this to succeed, it requires public-private partnerships, PPP, something at Mastercard we're working heavily with and involved in many engagements across the globe in order to achieve a digital ecosystem.
Great. Elias, you're popular today. So we have a question for you as well from Ernst. He's saying that you've mentioned that a business must consider the customer's future needs in the digital transformation process. Typically, is this achieved through customer research, or should one include a pool of key customers in the team leading the transformation? Interesting question.
Yeah, I like it. Thanks, Ernest, for the question. I don't think any customer has the time to spend so much time with your team to lead the digital transformation. I think this is too demanding. You can. One of the key things, like, there are a lot of innovative models. Research is one, but in today's research, it's less about doing the research where you fill a survey, or you're like on paper, or you fill a survey digitally through SurveyMonkey or whatever. There is now what we call A/B testing, where a product is tested and validated by the client, by a pool of existing or potential customers, to see if the functionalities are exactly what the customers need. You see a lot of A/B testing in Facebook. Sometimes in Facebook, you get like a marketplace option where you can buy and sell stuff. You get that marketplace option where Dr. Nairouz doesn't get it. This is A/B testing, where you try to have a pool of customers where you have a focus group, isolated group, and this is now we're going down the statistics road to see what would work for who. So, in a nutshell, the short answer, it always starts with the customer. And the more we speak to the customer, whether it is in the traditional surveys, the digital surveys, or the A/B testing, the better we understand where the future goes. And this should be done in a lean startup methodology, where A/B testing is being done rapidly. The final product is never finished. It's not like a building. Build a house and that's it. You can move in. It's never finished. It's evolving. It requires a lot of development and investment from the organization, and continuous interaction with customers.
Maybe I can also add few thoughts. I fully agree with Elias, but maybe with today's data technology, you have inflow of data from users, from end users, from your website, from multiple sources, and the ability of the organization to integrate this data, analyze, and apply predictive algorithms. This will give you a lot of insights into the future. What type of new products that you can develop, or how you can improve your services. What are the new value generation opportunities for you? So you can, I mean, on a continuous basis, you can analyze, read data, and convert them into actionable insights. So that is a must-have for any organization, in addition to what Elias said.
Thank you. And Khalid was asking, did the pandemic impact digital transformation in your company in a positive or a negative way?
I'll just answer in a question. Are you using cash to make payments as much as previously, or are you using more digital payments, whether it's tap your phone or credit cards? I mean, nobody wanted to use cash during COVID.
True.
And here, between parentheses, Dr. Nairouz, there's something I wanted to mention earlier, is that digital transformation is not about doing an upgrade in your infrastructure and adding some technology. It's not only that, right? This is just part of it. It doesn't mean if today at Mastercard we automate some of our processes or we upgrade some of our back end, means we digitally transformed. It means how can we continue to deliver an end-to-end customer journey? And this is where, for instance, we focus on tap and go. You don't longer swipe. Today you tap and go. That's contactless. That's much more in demand than any other means of payments. You don't need to even pull your wallet out of your pocket, right? To get your card. You don't need to get change. It's tap and go. It's seamless. So this is digital transformation, right? Which is how can we continuously deliver digital access to the customers, back to my earlier framework that I shared with you.
Thank you, Elias. Ozlem, we have touched on this, and thank you for bringing this point in our conversation. While acknowledging the dilemma between giving the opportunity and time to the company's internal talent to grow and the fast-paced market dynamics, according to you, what is the best choice and is there a right way to do it? And actually, like I shared, we have posted a poll for all of you audience. Please contribute and let us know, and we're gonna work on this, analyzing this data and see what do you think in terms of which way is the best way or will help us to achieve the goal that we need as soon as possible.
Yeah, I think in order to drive digital transformation, you need digitally savvy teams in different parts of the organization, in the functions, in the businesses, product creation, service teams, etc. So you cannot have people who don't understand digital, right? So it is very important. Having said that, in today's organization, not everybody is digitally savvy or experienced. But there is also some, discomfort with the people. In order to facilitate change, you need to bring change agents who understands what it means to digitally transform the organization. But at the same time, you need to have your team to start understanding, and hand in hand with the newcomers, with the experts, they evolve also to contribute to digital transformation so that the complete organization can be transformed in the future. I believe in my own experience, I had that dilemma because I had to hire someone to lead my digital transformation. I had a lot of internal people who come with huge knowledge and experience from the business, and they are very willing to learn and willing to take the lead and also have the pain. But the level of knowledge and experience to drive that massive change is of course limited. So, not mistrusting the people, I chose to hire an expert. But of course, the relevant expert for the organization. And then I saw that was the right decision to do so. Because otherwise, if you just trust or if you just want to be safe with your, talent who you know, and you might delay the transformation. So I think we need to go out of our comfort zone, bring some experts who know better than you, who speak a language which you don't understand even as a leader, there to listen and create an environment with other people in the organization in a collaborative way, so that everyone can speak up, everyone can share their fears, their thoughts, but allow experts also to support the digital transformation. This is extremely important in my view.
Gentlemen, any thoughts on that? Okay, we have a question from Hasna. Hasna is thanking all of you for your contribution and valuable insight. But one of the key issues is the lack of talents. So how do you start the transformation if you don't have the right team? I guess, Ozlem, partially you've answered that.
Yeah, I answered partially, but of course, only hiring an expert is not enough, because you need to educate your team. You need to groom the new team members who are also digitally savvy. You hire young people, Generation Z. So you create a mix of talents in the organization to help each other. And it's true that, of course, the talent scarcity is there when it comes to digital transformation. Therefore, continuous emphasis with your HR policies, with your people strategies, to go and hire the right caliber as well as the right capacity, not during the crisis, but before the crisis. We were talking about COVID. Before COVID happens, if you already had hired people, then you are in a safe place. If you hadn't done so, it's rather more difficult, I would say.
Absolutely.
Dr. Nairouz, there's one thing that I want to highlight, which is talent is definitely very important. The need for digital transformation, and this is the objective, the purpose for the organization to understand the tools, whether it is some support from consultants, bringing some partners from the private sector, working with the government, bringing some of the latest technology, digital technology. This is the recipe, right? But if you cook this alone, you will not get the final meal. The final meal requires culture. So I don't believe we lack talent. We lack development of the proper culture that will carry the organization through this transformation. And not only carry the organization for transformation, carry any organization into succeeding in the future. There's a book that you should read called Culture Eats Strategy for Lunch. Culture is the most important. You can have the most brilliant, talented people with the best strategy. If you don't have the right culture, nothing moves, nothing works. And I hear more often than on people saying, well, I want to change that because of the culture. I'm not fully satisfied because of the culture. Yeah, but you have a very great job, well paid, good exposure, well traveled, all these checklists that we sometimes do. But it's the culture. You spend a lot of time at work, now probably from home at Zoom, but you spend a lot of time at work. And if you don't have the right culture, it will not get you anywhere. So to the lady who asked this question, it's not the talent, it's the culture that supersedes talent in this case. Talent, you can find it easily now, especially in today's world. You can access it through Zoom and by correspondence.
Yes, I think you raised. Yeah, thank you. And yeah, I 100% agree with you, and I think you raised a very important point about company culture. And I think an important thing to have within your culture is to try to empower people to work in new ways internally, because as we've seen, and as Ozlem said before, working with new technologies can be a very uncomfortable thing to do. It can be intimidating and it can be incredibly frustrating. So it's important to change the mindset of people to be more accepting, to utilize new technologies and to try to learn them as they go along. And it's important to build capabilities for the workforce of the future. You know,
I'm with you, Adnan, but don't forget that whenever you embark on a transformation journey, at least 10% of your organization will be changed in less than a year. So it's you can't always retool and upskill the organization. Some people resist change. Some people are not comfortable with change. So it's true that you need to set the strategy and you need to upskill and retool under the culture. But don't think that you're gonna make everyone believe in the same dream or everyone be able to adapt and deliver on the same dream. And that's why bit by bit, you see people changing, and the organization within 3-4 years looks very different. 80% have left. So, not to say that's not important to retool, that's a prerequisite, but it's not the most important to focus on retooling. The most important is to have a very clear vision of where you want to go with a clear plan and the right culture. And then the others will start to come into place. People will naturally migrate towards or from this very strong magnetic field that you're creating.
Thank you, Elias, for sharing that. Yeah.
Playing the devil's advocate, as I always like to do, going back into the expertise and the executive, let's say, in digital transformation. If we are being very transparent and honest and saying that our existing capability and knowledge and know-how about digital transformation we really lack. It's an evolving matter. Maybe in 2-3 years we would know a little bit more than what we know now. But how can HR do the right job in terms of selecting those right experts that are needed for this transformation without having the knowledge and know-how?
Yeah, I think for me, choosing the right capability should not be left to any department or HR or I think there needs to be alignment at the top, related with the transformational goals, and each and every function needs to be part of this alignment. and human resources, they are part of it. So today's human resources should be integral part of business management. So they need to be partnering with the business, understand the challenges, understand opportunities and the requirements, the gaps, and then come up with competitive human resources strategy and plan, strategic workforce planning. For instance, we do strategic workforce planning in order to see how my business is going to shift, what new capabilities I will need, which resources I need to shift from traditional areas into the new areas, which ones I need to stop, which ones I need to hire. And that is the whole strategic thinking about HR is also shaping the HR in a different way. So they need to be partnering with the businesses and the organization in order to really bring the best. I have seen very strong HR leaders who are capable of really completing your strategy with this talent approach, human resources approach, and it works very well when you have that alignment at the top.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Ozlem. It does make sense for sure. Ziad is asking how digital transformation can be used to have a more comprehensive understanding to the business operative environment.
So probably the question is not very clear, but
yeah, we couldn't hear it properly. Sorry, Dr. Nairouz.
Yeah, but we'll display the question one more time. The question is about how digital transformation can be used to have a more comprehensive understanding to the business operative environment from an operational point of view.
Yeah, I think it is, I mean, of course, with new digital tools, techniques, you can, in your operation, you can continuously improve your operation. You can apply algorithms, you can apply predictive analytics, and then you can get real insights. And I mean, just every day you
Dashboards.
can see exactly, you can see new insights, how your products are operating, how your service is functioning, how these machines are operating, what is the maintenance requirement, how can you maintain more efficiently in a cheaper way. So I think digital techniques, technology is a big facilitation for operations, because you can lower your costs by taking the waste out. You can see where your troubles are when operating machines, for instance, your machine part. You can just see very clearly where are the waste accumulating, and then you can take that out. You can see what is the problem of the equipment, for instance, and then you can immediately intervene. It creates a lot of efficiency for the operational environment in life. And if you look at, for instance, today's world in the manufacturing environment, even you see robots, industrial robots, automation are of course have always been there, but with COVID especially, it is also increasing its importance, because we don't want many people to be in one physical space. So usage of robots and industrial robots, automation tools, etc., will also help to keep the environment safer and more healthier. So there are multiple ways how you can leverage on digital technology in the operational environment. You can also improve your service to your customers, consumers. So many ways I can count.
Great. Any comments from you, gentlemen?
I think it was a very comprehensive answer from.
It was, yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Ozlem. Gina asking, from a digital business model engagement with end users, would you go fully go-to-market strategy with Amazon, AliExpress, or would you prefer to have full ownership of the digital customer experience? So would you ride on the existing expertise, or do you build your own in a way?
It depends on your business model, I would say. There's no right and wrong. If
Yeah.
you are, for instance, a retailer that doesn't want to go and invest in digital transformation, it's an amazing sales channel to piggyback on. Someone is doing the investment, the upgrading, the maintenance, the great customer experience. So why would you go and replicate that? We
Yeah.
see that many times at Mastercard. For instance, we are a payments tech provider. Some in some places, governments want to create another local switch, which is not really cost efficient because it took decades and tens of billions of dollars to master this product. So if it's not your core business, then don't go and rebuild what's out there. Focus on digitizing your core business and on digitizing what creates the most value uh, to customers based on the proposition you want to put out there. Plus, I mean, Amazon and all these AliExpress, Alibaba, etc., all of these, they can provide you with the customer data that you need. They are cross pollinating the data that they get in order to create more value for themselves, but they're not discounting you from obtaining the customer data that you need or that you would have had you built the platform yourself.
Omar is asking Elias again the point when you mentioned about the culture aspects. You've raised the question. So how do you create the culture to make sure it's ready, it's digital ready? What would you do?
So it starts. It's culture is a set of habits that we repeat, right? Put simply, us as Lebanese, we love to have certain foods that we eat, certain traditions that we repeat, and many other cultures around the world. We speak similar language with some accents. It doesn't change within an organization. You have to first define where you want to go, and then you have to speak the same language within the organization, which is the digital language. Everybody needs to know which direction they're going, and it has to be repeated and be consistent. So the more you repeat the same language, the more it sticks in people's mind. This is one. So I'm giving you the analogy of what we know as culture in countries, right? The language, the habits, the rituals. Then the second thing is to ensure that small wins are being communicated and being amplified, because it's very important for when you're going in a certain direction. When you go to the gym, right, and you're starting to work out, you start to put in and you feel like, I want to stop. But if you have a trainer, he will tell you, no, keep going. So the small wins are very important to create this culture, because the journey is very difficult. Digital transformation is not a given. It requires a lot of effort. So that's the second. And the third thing to do in order to create this culture is to be okay in doing mistakes and to kind of fail quickly and pivot. And this is where having the right execs and the right decision makers sitting at the helm of this digital transformation is key in order to ensure that people are not afraid to make mistakes, because nobody knows what the right answer is. You're going into a direction which is new to everyone. So these are, I would say, the three key things in order to create this culture.
Great, thank you so much, Elias. Adnan, the pandemic has pushed different urgent priorities to the front, of course, including digital transformation, endorsing leaders to take action. While COVID-19 is pushing organizations to transform with urgency, many leaders are unsure of which strategies and approaches will accelerate the transformation. So what advice can we give to enterprises in order to have a higher rate of success when it comes to digital transformation?
Yeah, thank you, Nairouz. I think that's a very good question. And I think, Ozlem, Elias, and myself have touched upon it as we went on with the discussion. And I would go back to Ozlem's point that she said multiple times. It's really important to have the right digital savvy leaders as well as the right digital savvy employees. I read an article by McKinsey called Unlocking Success in Digital Transformation. And one key aspect that Elias actually touched upon just now is maintaining frequent and very clear communication. So if you're embarking on a digital transformation journey, do you have a change story that explains to everyone, your stakeholders, where where the company is headed, why it's changing, and why is this change very important within the organization? And the article actually quotes saying that this practice can make it 3 times more likely to succeed in your digital transformation journey.
A question from Harini, whomever would like to answer it. What is the most significant change the digital transformation process during post-pandemic brought into your respective companies? Brought.
I can take that. So first of all, I think it changed how we work in the organizations. Members of the organization, us. So also everything carried out through the virtual setup. So customer visits, our meetings, everything, all the interactions were transitioned to be virtual. All these tools were already existing. So I have been managing many teams in the past and also now. One of the biggest discussion we always had, how can we reduce our travel costs, for instance? Why do we have to have so much travel? Because cost, it's a cost item, right? Of course you do it for creating value, but still, do we really need to travel that much? Do we really need to be physically there for creating customer value? Is customer paying for or willing to pay for my travel? Or should I create a bigger value for the customer by traveling less and investing that into something more meaningful for the customer? So that was an argument or debate for, I think, for a very long time. But when COVID came, it just put, end to that discussion. We were not able to travel anymore. Even for, most crucial topics. When you are handovering, for instance, an MRI to customer here in the, over in the Middle East, you were not able to travel from one city to another country to another. You cannot send your engineer, hence you cannot hand over the, equipment. How are you going to do that? So we had to develop very quickly different handover protocols and do it digitally, develop training programs, do it digitally, etc. COVID really forced us to re-innovate how we would work, how we could work virtually. I think that had a big impact. Second one is, of course, sales. So sales had been always almost, majority, of course, online sales has been already there, but slowly it was picking up. Now it accelerated big time. So majority of our sales is going through online. Even grandmas and, who have no knowledge about digital tools, they started to order online their groceries or even their other beauty items, health-related items. They started to shift to online, and we have seen, for instance, even in healthcare sector, shift to virtual clinics because of COVID. It is not only not possible, but also it is not safe to go and visit the clinic every day if you have a fever or something. So digital programs, platforms which enables online screening and having a virtual consultation with the doctors or healthcare professionals made our lives much easier. So these technologies were already existing, but with COVID, we wanted to use them. In the past, we didn't want to use them. We were feeling uncomfortable with that because it is changing our lives tremendously. But now we have to do it because it's a matter of survival.
Exactly, absolutely. I don't think I have mentioned earlier that today's speakers, they come from different generation. So Adnan, you being the fortunate one who grew up with technology, unlike some of us, can you tell us, as interestingly controversial as it sounds, in what way can we say that people are the main asset when it comes to digital adoption and implementation?
So I think people are a very critical asset when it comes to digital transformation. And in my opinion, when we talk about technology and digitization, I don't think we're just discussing, the servers, the software, the different platforms. We're also referring to how people use these technologies to either be more productive or how companies use these technologies to connect closer to their customer. So I think it's important to recognize that the enablement and empowerment of users is also a key to success when you embark on a digital transformation journey. Whether that end user is an employee or a customer within an organization.
And to all a question, do you think people and digitization complete each other, or are they the complete opposites?
Is that for Adnan?
Yeah. Yeah, please go
Yeah.
ahead.
Is this question for me or is it for everyone?
For everyone, whomever would like to jump in.
So let me just jump very quickly. I think they complete each other because people are using technology. It's not there to replace them. They are complementary. Digital or digitization or technology is a tool that makes our life easier. Technology has always been there. A wheel is a technology, right? So it's only there to make our lives easier, better, and more seamless.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank
Is
you.
there any last enlightening advice that you can leave the audience with? It's been an amazing session. Any last word you would like to leave us with? Ozlem, can I start with you?
Yeah, I advise everybody to go out of the comfort zone and put yourself into it, and then take the fear out, bring the curiosity and excitement with your team. You will make it a great one.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Adnan, any last advice?
No, I agree with Ozlem. Please put yourself outside of your comfort zone. Be open to using new technologies, and as risky as this journey might be, the outcome can be of great benefit.
Elias, any
Keep
last
learning.
word?
Keep learning, because everything is changing rapidly. You have to keep learning.
Absolutely. Thank you, dear guests, for this illuminating and rich discussion. We greatly appreciate your valuable time and effort to share your practical knowledge and opinions. Looking forward to having you in more talks soon, inshallah. As to our audience tonight, thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoyed the talk as much as we did. Please let us know in the comments if you have any questions or if you have any suggestions or wish list in terms of upcoming topics that we can tackle. And always forward with digital transformation and innovation topics. Thank you and keep striving.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure.